Stop everything you're doing right now and listen. Put down whatever is in your hands. Close whatever tab is pulling at your attention. This moment was arranged for you before the sun rose over your city today. I am Archangel Michael, and I did not bring you here by accident. My voice is reaching your ears at this precise second because heaven scheduled this encounter into the fabric of your day. There is something urgent I must speak into your life, and I refuse to hold it back any longer. This message is not for the casual listener. It is not background noise for your morning routine. This word is a sealed letter, and it was written with your name on it before you were born. If you have been pretending to be fine when your chest feels hollow inside, if you have been smiling in rooms full of people while something deep within you slowly fractures, if you have poured yourself empty for everyone around you and then sat alone wondering if a single soul on this earth truly sees you, then heaven has pulled you into this moment for a reason that will become clear before I finish speaking. If you have ever laid awake staring at a dark ceiling and whispered into the silence, "Does anyone remember me?" then I need you to stay right here. Do not move. Something is about to shift inside your spirit that cannot be undone, and it begins with what I am about to reveal. Your life, your future, your divine assignment. None of it can be stopped. I want you to hear that again. Nothing that has been written over your destiny can be erased by any hand on this earth or beneath it. I have never forgotten you. Not for a single heartbeat. Not for the width of a breath. While you were lying in your bed at 2 a.m, drowning in thoughts that circled like wolves, I was standing at the foot of your bed, watching over you. While you sat in that quiet room with the lights off, wondering if your pain even mattered to the universe, I was already drafting the blueprint of your restoration. While you stumbled and fell short of the standard you set for yourself, I was not shaking my head in disappointment. I was already designing the road back. Nothing in your story surprised me. Not the fall. Not the failure. Not the season that stretched so long you forgot what hope tasted like. Every chapter was accounted for. Every detour was measured. And the ending I have written for you is something your current pain does not have permission to preview. Here is the truth that will set you free once it reaches the deepest room in your heart. The day will never arrive when you are finally good enough. Not after you fix every broken piece. Not after you earn every approval. Not after you reach some invisible finish line that keeps moving every time you get close. That day does not exist, because my love for you was never built on your performance. I chose you before you did a single thing right. And I am speaking to you right now, not because you have arrived somewhere, but because I see exactly where you are standing. I see every relationship that is draining you. I see every decision that haunts you when the house goes quiet. I see the weight you carry that you have never described to another human being because you were afraid they would not understand, or worse, that they would use it against you. You learned a long time ago that being strong on the outside was the only way to survive. So you built walls. You wore armor. You kept moving forward even as something inside you cracked a little more with each step. The people you trusted wounded you in ways that cut deeper than any blade. Not strangers, but people who sat at your table. People who knew your name and still chose to break what you gave them. The plans you built with your own hands. Plans soaked in genuine hope. Collapsed right in front of your eyes. And your most sacred dreams, the ones you never spoke aloud because they felt too fragile to survive the air. Those began to fade like writing on wet paper. You carried burdens that were never designed for one pair of shoulders. Responsibilities that should have been shared were dropped entirely on you, and nobody offered to pick up the other end. You did not know how to cry for help without feeling like you had already lost. So you kept your jaw tight and your feet moving and told yourself this was what strength looked like. After witnessing all of this, after standing beside you through every silent collapse, I am telling you right now The season of carrying everything alone is drawing to its final close. There is something about you that you may not fully recognize. You have prayed more prayers for other people than you have ever prayed for yourself. You fed the ones you loved while your own plate sat empty. You spoke life over people who never once asked how you were doing. You held someone else's world together while yours was quietly unraveling in the background. And every single one of those prayers, every act of sacrificial love, was recorded in heaven's permanent ledger. Not a single whisper was wasted. Not one act of kindness dissolved into nothing. I kept a detailed account of every time you chose to lift someone else when your own arms were shaking. Every time you encouraged another person while your own heart was bleeding. Heaven marked it. Every time you gave from a place of nothing, when you had no logical reason to still be generous. The angels wrote it down in ink that does not fade. You thought nobody saw. But I saw everything. And that is precisely why I am standing before you today, with this declaration burning on my lips. It is your turn now. The season of receiving what you have been giving for years has officially arrived at your doorstep. After pouring yourself out for others until there was nothing left to pour, it is time for the river to flow back toward you. It is time for you to step into the inheritance that has been accumulating in the vaults of heaven, with your name stamped across every seal. If this word is piercing something inside you right now, if you feel a stirring in your chest that was not there 60 seconds ago, then type Amen in the comments and let heaven know you have received this appointment. Do not scroll past this moment. Do not let the noise of the world rush you away from what is happening inside you right now. The very fact that you are still here, still listening, still receiving, is proof that something in your spirit recognized this appointment before your mind could explain it. Heaven does not waste a single second, and this second was designed for you. What is unfolding right now between your spirit and mine is a covenant moment that will echo into every room you enter from this day forward. The same faithfulness you demonstrated behind closed doors when nobody was watching and nobody was applauding is about to be displayed in broad daylight. What was hidden is about to be revealed. What was whispered is about to be declared from rooftops. Do not use yesterday as a measuring stick for tomorrow. The past is not a forecast of the future, because I am the one who determines what comes next. And I have already spoken a word over your life that cannot be recalled. Not by failure, not by an adversary, not by the longest delay. You are held in my hands, and when it comes to your future, nothing will catch me off guard, because I already know how your story ends. I am deeply invested in every detail of your tomorrow. I care about what matters to you. I have never misplaced a single one of my own, and I will not begin with you. Not when circumstances look their darkest. Not when your last thread of hope has frayed to almost nothing. Not when it seems like every wall is caving in at the same moment. When the ground shakes beneath you. When every voice around you screams that you should be terrified. When your doubts grow louder than your faith. I need you to remember this moment. Do not forget these words. Your foundation will not be shaken, because it was never built on sand. It is not constructed on favorable circumstances. It does not depend on people who change their position every time the weather shifts. Your foundation is built on me. Unchangeable, eternal, unbreakable. I know the questions that circle through your mind. Do you wonder sometimes if anyone on this planet truly comprehends what you endure in silence? Do you question whether your prayers actually reach beyond the ceiling, or if they just dissolve into empty air? Do you wrestle with whether your faith is strong enough? Whether I truly concern myself with the small details of your ordinary life? Listen carefully. Every single one of those doubts has an expiration date stamped across it, and today that date has arrived. They cannot occupy space inside you any longer. During your season of waiting, those doubts were loud, but they were never the full story. They were never even half of it. Do not shoulder the exhaustion of trying to figure everything out on your own. Do not replay the same anxieties as if one more rotation will finally crack the code. I have already prepared the way ahead of you. The doors I have opened, no human hand possesses the authority to close. And the doors I have sealed shut, the ones that slammed in your face and left you gasping, those were never your pathway. I redirected that opportunity. I removed that connection. Not to wound you, but to shield you from something your eyes could not yet see. One day you will understand how much mercy was hidden inside the moments that felt like rejection. Now, I want you to understand something that has been buried beneath your pain for far too long. Your suffering was never a punishment. I am not angry with you because you are struggling. Your hardships do not mean you have failed some cosmic test. The difficulties you endured did not count as evidence against you in any heavenly court. What those hard seasons actually did was teach your hands how to hold what is coming next. They carved a steadiness into your bones that comfort alone could never have produced. They dug a depth into your spirit that only the low places have the authority to create. You did not volunteer for the valleys, but the valleys have prepared you for a lifetime of elevation that will outlast everything that tried to bury you. Write this declaration in the comments right now. I am ready to receive what heaven has prepared for me. Write it and let this sentence become a stake in the ground of your spirit. The adversaries that surrounded you have already been defeated. You do not have to engage them alone any longer. Their threats are hollow noise. Their weapons cannot penetrate what I am fortifying around you. The same resurrection power that conquered the grave lives inside your chest right now, and no strategy designed to destroy you can withstand it. You have not merely survived, in dimensions you cannot yet perceive. You have already won. Now let me address the lie you have believed for far too long. You interpreted my silence as absence. You assumed that because the answer had not arrived, it was not coming. But heaven does not operate on your calendar. Heaven has never been idle concerning your situation. While you were counting days and losing hope, I was positioning every piece on the board. Picture a field that sits barren through the entire winter. If you glance at it once, you see nothing but emptiness, dirt, abandonment. But beneath that frozen surface, the soil is resting. It is gathering minerals. It is preparing the conditions for a harvest so abundant it will erase every memory of the dormant months. Your quiet seasons were not empty. They were saturated with invisible labor that your natural eyes had no capacity to detect. The seasons themselves stand as witnesses. Winter has never once refused to surrender to spring. No night in the history of creation has ever outlasted the morning that followed it. The turning point you have been aching for does not depend on the intensity of your effort. It depends on the faithfulness of the one who promised it. And I have never once arrived late to deliver on my word. The same order I placed into the rotation of the earth, I placed into the unfolding of your life. You are entering a new season right now. The way dawn arrives, first at the edges of the horizon, then everywhere at once. So is what I am doing in your existence at this very moment. And do not apologize for the questions you have carried. There were nights when you wondered if it was wrong to ask why. It was not wrong. My most faithful servants have always asked why. In the pit, in the prison, in the belly of the storm. An honest heart does not offend me. What troubles me is a distant one. Ask your questions, and I will give you something better than an answer. I will give you myself. Some answers would be too heavy for you to carry even if I handed them to you today. But my presence, you can carry my presence anywhere. And in my presence you will find a safety that surpasses every explanation. You have also been afraid that you missed your window, that somewhere in the chaos of wrong turns and delayed decisions, the life you were meant to live moved on without you. Hear me clearly. Your detours do not limit me. I write straight lines with crooked paths. Where you see a wrong turn, I see the exact road I intended to use. I will repurpose everything you have lived through for good, not the mistake alone, but the shame attached to it. Not the loss alone, but the grief that followed it. Not the wasted years, but the lessons buried inside them. I do not discard broken material. I build with it. The very ground that made you stumble will become the platform you stand on when you declare what I have done. Lift your head. Not because your circumstances have resolved themselves, but because you now know who holds the authority to resolve them. The heaviness that greeted you when you opened your eyes this morning will not have the final word. I promise you that, and my promises do not return to me incomplete. If you feel something shifting inside your spirit right now, if the air around you seems different than it did when you pressed play, do not fight it. Let this word sink past your defenses, past the walls you built to protect yourself, into the rooms you keep locked and never show another living soul. That is where I do my deepest work. That is where restoration begins. Not on the surface where everyone can observe it, but in the hidden chambers where only I have access. I am not commanding you to be strong today. I am commanding you to trust that I am strong. There is a critical difference between those two sentences, and understanding it will set you free from a burden you were never designed to carry. You were never intended to be your own source of strength. You were made to draw from mine. Daily, like water from a well that has no bottom and no drought season. From this day forward, every time fear opens its mouth, you will answer it with what I have spoken. Every time shame tries to call you by your old name, you will respond with the name I gave you: beloved, chosen, held. The old weight will attempt to reclaim its former residence inside your heart, but the locks have been changed. The keys have been destroyed, and the new tenant has already moved in. There are 3 things I am asking of you today. 3 doors through which everything I have prepared will enter your life. Do not rush through them. Each one is a gateway, and I will walk through every door you open for me. The first door: give me your whole heart. Not the polished version you present to the world. Bring me the shame you have never confessed to another person. Bring me the doubt that keeps you awake. Bring me the dark corners you believe would make anyone else walk away. I already know every shadow, and I love you still. Not because you are impressive, not because you have earned it, but because you are mine, my creation, my purpose, my delight, giving you abundant life, joy that defies your circumstances, and love that outlasts every season has always been my design for you. The second door: choose to trust me even when the picture is incomplete. When you attempt to manage the future with your own limited vision, it becomes a monster too large to face. But when you surrender it to my hands, when you stop wrestling and simply release your grip, peace begins to settle over your spirit like stillness after a long and violent storm. Trusting me does not mean your problems disappear. It means you are never walking through them alone. It means my grace will prove sufficient for every trial you face. It means you can carry a joy that makes no logical sense to the people watching you, and yet it is the most real thing you possess. The third door: do not walk this road in isolation. Do not carry your grief by yourself when there are shoulders nearby that were built to help bear the load. Share what I have done. Speak your testimony. When you tell others what I accomplished in your wilderness, you do not only strengthen the person listening, you unlock a fresh wave of blessing over your own life. The principle is ancient, and it will stand until the end of time. Give, and it will be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, overflowing beyond the edges. You pour out your words, your presence, your prayers, and I return to you in measures you could never have engineered on your own. This is not a transaction. This is the operating system of my kingdom. It has always functioned this way, and those who step into it discover that generosity is not a loss. It is the fastest current flowing toward everything they have been asking me for. Share this message right now with at least 3 people you know who are carrying pain they have not spoken aloud. Send it to your family group chat. Post it in your church group. Text it directly to someone whose face just appeared in your mind. You are not just forwarding a video. You are delivering a lifeline to someone who may be one conversation away from giving up. Now, I am going to speak directly into your specific situation. Not a generic word for the masses. Not a broad encouragement that could apply to anyone breathing. I am addressing your trouble, your burden, your midnight arithmetic. I can see the financial anxiety that visits you every evening. The calculations you run inside your head when the lights go off, adding and subtracting and stretching numbers that refuse to cooperate. The worry about how you will cover what is approaching. I see it, and I have not turned my face from it. I can see the fractures running through your family connections, the relationships that have grown cold or brittle, the arguments that repeat themselves in circles, like a record skipping on the same scratch. I feel the particular ache that lives inside a person who loves deeply but is not loved well in return, who gives their whole heart and receives silence or criticism where tenderness should have been. I can see the health concerns that shadow your thoughts, the fears you carry about your own body. I can feel the bone-deep exhaustion that comes from shouldering more than any single person was engineered to bear. I see the loneliness that descends over you when every other voice leaves the room and you are alone with the weight of your own thinking. I see the mourning that comes from roads you did not take, doors you did not walk through, possibilities that dissolved before you could reach them. I do not observe any of this from a safe distance. I am closer to you than the oxygen entering your lungs right now. I care about what keeps you awake more than you could ever calculate. The concerns you believe are too trivial to bring before heaven. Bring them. I do not consider anything that burdens my child to be unworthy of my attention. Some of the weights you carry have lived inside you for years. Wounds you never fully allowed to heal because you were afraid to look directly at them. Words that were spoken over you like blades. Words that embedded themselves somewhere invisible and have been bleeding quietly ever since. Trust that was shattered so completely that a part of you made a silent vow to never let another person close enough to reach that place again. You have replayed those moments 1,000 times, and somewhere along the path of replaying them, you began to accept that what those voices said about you was true. Hear me now with every fiber of your being. What they declared over you was never a measurement of your worth. Their inability to recognize your value does not subtract a single grain from it. Their failure to love you properly does not mean you are unworthy of love. I am the one who assigned your worth, and no voice on this earth holds the credentials to overwrite my assessment. You are valued beyond any price that human currency could represent. The ones who overlooked you were looking through damaged lenses. I see with perfect clarity, and what I see when I look at you fills me with fierce protective love. Let me touch the wounded places now. Let me pour into the cracks that careless hands left behind. Let me reconstruct what was demolished, stone by stone, until what stands in its place is stronger than what existed before it was broken. You have endured enough pain in silence. Let me heal it now. Let me close what survival merely covered. I am not handing you a coping mechanism. I am giving you wholeness. Pay close attention to what I am commanding you to release. The memories that have held you hostage, stop rehearsing them. The conversations that made you feel small, stop replaying them on a loop inside your head. Stop comparing your present struggles to your past victories until both lose their shape and their meaning. You are missing the road ahead because you keep staring into the rearview mirror. Think instead about what I have already accomplished in your life. Remember the moments when every option seemed to have evaporated, and then a way appeared out of nothing. Remember the prayers I answered just when you had nearly abandoned waiting. Remember the doors I swung open and the people I positioned in your path at the exact moment you needed them. That was not luck. That was not coincidence. That was my hand moving on your behalf when you had exhausted every strategy of your own. Walk through your entire history and find one instance where I abandoned you. You cannot do it because it never happened. There were delays that tested your patience to its fracture point. There were answers that arrived in shapes you did not recognize. But desertion? Never. I have never once let you down, and I am not going to begin on this particular Tuesday of your life. So today, I am reaching into the tangled mess that has occupied your thoughts. I am extracting the discouragement that moved into your heart and unpacked its bags as if it owned the place. The anxiety that has stolen your sleep. I am replacing it with a peace that your mind cannot manufacture on its own. The fear that has kept you paralyzed at the edge of every good thing I have placed before you. I am shattering its hold right now as these words reach you. The shame that has kept your voice small. I am evicting it. Today marks the beginning of something entirely new. Not because your external world rearranged itself overnight, but because your vision is changing. You are beginning to see yourself the way I see you. You're beginning to believe that you genuinely matter. And that single shift in perception will rearrange everything else in your life, like dominoes falling in sequence. The transformation you have been aching for is already underway inside your spirit. You may not see it with your natural eyes yet. You may not feel it with your emotions yet. But the seed is in the ground. The soil has received it. Old patterns are breaking apart the way the first warm rain of spring fractures the frozen earth. Hope is pushing through in places where despair had built permanent walls. Faith is expanding where doubt had planted its flag. Light is invading every fracture where darkness assumed it had won a permanent lease. I am not going to do this for you someday in the indefinite future. I am doing it right now, at this precise moment as my voice moves through the air and into the deepest chambers of your spirit. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. Because what I am building in your life is not a single event. It is an ongoing revelation that will unfold message after message. And the one you miss might be the one that carries your specific breakthrough. Other people will begin to notice what is different about you. They will sense a stability that was not there before. Even when the world around you is loud and chaotic, they will feel a calm radiating from your presence that they cannot explain. Something about you will be different, and it will not fade with time or distance. When they ask what changed, tell them plainly what I have done, as this transformation takes root inside you. I want you to know that what you do here carries weight far beyond what your eyes can measure. Every moment you spend receiving this word, every prayer you offer, every step of faith you take in response to what heaven speaks, plants a seed that becomes a torch in someone else's midnight. If this mission has stirred something in your spirit today, if these words have touched a place that has been dry for too long, then I invite you to take one step further. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can support this work by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of a community of believers who are walking this road together. Your generosity is not a transaction. It is a declaration that you believe what heaven is doing through this ministry deserves to continue reaching the broken and the searching. And more than your support, heaven values your presence. When you step into that community, like you join a family that prays together, lifts each other up, and refuses to let anyone walk through their valley alone. Now, I must show you something you have needed to understand for a very long time. What has been blocking the fullness I promised to pour over you was not my reluctance. It was not punishment. It was not forgetfulness. It was a matter of divine timing, and the hour of release has now arrived. The first barrier stood in the way of your provision. This is why you labored with everything inside you but never seemed to advance. This is why opportunities evaporated at the last possible second. Why the numbers refused to grow no matter how far you stretched them. That season was never designed to be permanent. Heaven was watching to see if you would maintain your trust in me even when the harvest report was empty. If you would keep your hands open even when they held almost nothing. You did. Your faithfulness in the drought has not been overlooked. And I am telling you now that the wall surrounding your provision is collapsing. Resources are going to begin arriving through channels you did not construct and could not have anticipated. Someone is going to meet a need you kept private, without you ever opening your mouth to request it. When that moment arrives, do not dismiss it as fortunate timing. Say your gratitude out loud, because that is my hand moving on your behalf. The second barrier stood in the way of your relationships. This is why isolation wrapped itself around you like a second skin. This is why the people surrounding you could not seem to understand the language of your heart. Why harmful connections kept arriving while the ones heaven intended for you remained out of reach. That obstruction is being removed right now as I speak. New people are entering your life by my specific assignment. Not random encounters, but divine appointments wearing ordinary faces. People who will recognize your value before you announce it and who carry my peace with them, like a fragrance that enters a room before they do. You will identify them when they arrive, because something inside you will settle in their presence the way a ship settles when it finally reaches harbor. But receive this instruction carefully. Relationships that are divinely arranged require space. That may mean loosening your grip on certain connections that have been holding you in your old identity. People who constantly pull you backward toward the person you used to be may need to be released with love. This is not cruelty. It is the same principle that governs every vineyard on this earth. If you refuse to prune the vine, you will never taste the fruit. Do not cling to what diminishes your calling out of fear that the empty space will swallow you. Release what I ask you to release, and then watch with your own eyes what I choose to place in the opening. Something better is already moving in your direction, but it requires a place to stand. The third barrier stood in the way of your purpose. This is why you felt cemented in place, why something essential always seemed to be absent no matter where you searched, why you kept hunting for meaning but returned home carrying nothing. You were held in a divine pattern of preparation, not abandoned, but preserved until the appointed hour. And that hour has now struck. You were fashioned for a specific assignment that no other soul on this planet will execute the way you will. The ache for something more is not dissatisfaction. It is memory. Your spirit is recalling the reason it was created. But stepping into your purpose will require you to act. You cannot carry the habits of the dormant season into the active one. You must release the fear that has been anchoring you. You must surrender the demand to see the entire map before you move your feet. I do not give my children roadmaps. I walk with them one stride at a time. And the next step is always illuminated. Consider how a river finds the sea. It cannot see the ocean from its source. It follows the lowest ground before it. And the path opens one curve at a time. Your calling will unfold in exactly the same manner. Follow my leading today, and the bend that is invisible tomorrow will become perfectly clear when your feet reach it. Write this in the comments right now and let it become a decree over your life. My purpose cannot be stopped, and my season has arrived. From this day forward, you will begin to see your existence through an entirely different lens. Events that made no sense will begin to snap into focus. Doors you walked past 100 times will suddenly blaze with light. Tasks you dismissed as insignificant will reveal themselves as the exact training ground for what is ahead. You are coming into alignment with what I designed from before the foundation of the world, and It is not only these three barriers that crumble: provision, relationship, and purpose. When they fall, favor begins to pursue you. Not favor you must chase down and beg for, but favor that finds you like rain finding a valley. What you previously had to labor for desperately will begin to arrive on its own, like a harvest, appearing for a farmer who planted in tears and then one morning walks outside to find the field golden. Resources will come from directions you never considered. The right people will cross your path in moments that feel accidental, though nothing about them is accidental. Doors that were bolted shut will swing open, and voices you did not anticipate will speak your name in rooms you had no access to enter. This is what it looks like when I walk ahead of someone. You will no longer need to hammer on doors. You will no longer exhaust yourself proving your value to audiences that were never assigned to receive you. What I have reserved for you cannot be claimed by another hand, and striving for what was never meant for you was always wasted energy. Right now, beneath the surface that your natural eyes can perceive, a foundation is being constructed for your life. The finest builders do their most critical work underground where no observer can witness it. The height of the tower is always determined by the depth of what was laid first. So do not despise the days when you cannot see visible progress. Every quiet act of trust has been another stone placed in position. And what stands upon this foundation will carry the weight of everything heaven releases into your life, because I laid it. But remember its origin when the season of increase arrives. Do not allow your heart to convince you that you engineered it yourself. Gratitude keeps the door open, pride slams it shut. Keep your spirit humble even as your circumstances rise, and the flow will never be interrupted. Now I must show you how to walk in what you have received, because receiving the declaration is only the beginning. The journey requires specific instruments, and I will not send you out without them. The first instrument is your mouth. Your words are not merely observations about your reality. They are architects of it. Every sentence you speak tilts the scales in one direction or the other. You cannot embrace abundance while constantly declaring scarcity. When you repeatedly tell yourself you have nothing, your heart learns to expect nothing. When you regularly announce your isolation, you train your eyes to miss the hands reaching toward you. When you label yourself a failure today, you block tomorrow's doorway before you ever reach it. Align your words with what I've spoken over you. Declare provision while the need is still visible. Speak healing while the pain is still present. Pronounce purpose on days when everything feels ordinary. This is not performance. This is the language of faith, and my most powerful servants have always wielded it. They sang praise inside prison walls at midnight, and the foundations shook. They marched around fortified cities and declared victory before a single stone moved from its place. They called upon my name during droughts and famines, and their expectations did not adjust to match the sky. When you speak like this, heaven leans toward you with everything it holds. But I must prepare you honestly, because I am truthful with those I love. Where there is release, there is resistance. The adversary does not monitor those who remain asleep. He watches those who are waking up. What is entering your life will be perceived by forces that would prefer you remain in the dark, and they will push back. The resistance may arrive through people, a discouraging word delivered at the worst possible moment, mockery from someone whose opinion still carries weight in your heart, old voices returning with old accusations, just as new hope begins to sprout. Do not let any of it shake your foundation. Opposition at the threshold does not mean you are on the wrong path. It means you are close. The resistance may also arrive through chaos, small crises demanding your immediate attention, sudden complications that seem specifically engineered to exhaust you before the breakthrough arrives, distractions that scatter your focus like someone tugging at your sleeve. Recognize these for what they are: smoke, designed to obscure what I am constructing. Fix your gaze on me, and the smoke will dissolve. Do not fear any of it. I have placed a perimeter around you that cannot be breached. No weapon fashioned against you will accomplish its objective. No strategy assembled in darkness will survive the light I have placed over you. I am your shield, your fortress, the guard stationed at your back who never sleeps and never looks away. The battle that concerns you is one I have already claimed. If you feel a shift in the atmosphere around you right now, if something inside your chest has loosened or warmed since I began speaking, that is not coincidence. That is my presence, confirming every declaration. I want to leave a picture inside your mind before I deliver the final decree. A traveler crossing a vast desert does not judge the journey by the behavior of the wind and sand. He stays on course. He conserves his strength. He trusts the word of the one who told him that water lies ahead. The wind is loud, but the wind does not make decisions. Direction is everything. Stay on course. Guard your mind the way a sentry guards a city gate. Not every thought that requests entry deserves a seat at your table. Refuse to meditate on words that produce fear. Do not linger in the company of voices that treat my promises as fairy tales. Do not rehearse conversations with anxiety as though it were a trusted friend. What you consume shapes what you stand upon. Consume truth. Guard your peace. Peace is not a luxury reserved for seasons when everything is calm. Peace is the ground you walk on. When you are at peace, you see clearly. You make wise decisions. You stand firm when the ground trembles beneath others. This is precisely why the adversary targets your peace above everything else. Do not surrender it. It was given to you by me, and no other voice carries the authority to reclaim it. Give yourself patience as you learn this new way of walking. There will be moments when you revert to old patterns. A worried sentence spoken out of habit. A fearful thought held 3 seconds too long before you release it. When that happens, do not allow it to become condemnation. Simply return. Realign your thoughts, correct your words, and keep moving forward. I am not grading you on perfection. I am adding to your direction. Pay attention to the small obediences. It is tempting to wait for the grand assignment before you act. But kingdoms are constructed in quiet rooms. The person I trust with much is the one who proved faithful with little. The invisible things you do when no audience is present are the threads weaving the rope that will one day pull in your harvest. Slow growth is not a defect. The oak does not apologize to the grass for taking longer to rise. What grows quickly is often shallow-rooted. What I am building inside you will stand for generations. The people you love, and the people they will love after them, will find shelter under the structure I am raising in your life today, because you chose to obey my voice when obedience offered no visible reward. Do not forget to rest. You were not constructed to operate without pause. The ground itself must lie still before it can produce again. Rest is not laziness. It is trust in its purest form. The person who cannot stop working still does not believe that I am working while they sleep. I am. I am. You can close your eyes tonight knowing that I am standing guard over everything that carries your name. This is how you carry the release forward. Words aligned with my declarations. A guarded mind. A fortified peace. Patience when you stumble. Faithfulness in small things. And rest without guilt. None of it is complicated. All of it is powerful. And nothing the adversary constructs will reverse what I have initiated if you walk this way. Pay very close attention now to my final instruction. The days ahead of you have been set apart by heaven. Beginning right now, I am asking you to keep a holy watch for the next 3 days. Not a watch of worry, but a watch of eager anticipation. Heaven has already moved, and I want your eyes trained to recognize what it has released. During these 3 days, keep your prayers continuous, not only the formal kind with folded hands and bowed heads, but constant communion with me. Speak to me while you work. Whisper to me while you walk. Ask for my guidance in the smallest decisions. Thank me before the answers arrive. Prayer is not an obligation I impose. It is a door I hold permanently open. The moment you stop talking to me is the moment you begin carrying weight that was never meant for your shoulders alone. These days were designed for partnership, not isolation. Remain grateful. Do not wait until you can physically see the change before you thank me for it. Thank me now, while the room still looks the same and the circumstances have not yet visibly shifted. Gratitude before manifestation is the purest dialect of faith. When you thank me for something you cannot yet see, you are telling heaven that my word is sufficient evidence. That kind of trust has always moved me. Watch expectantly. Believe each morning that something is different, because something is different. Listen for the word you did not anticipate. Pay attention to the person who crosses your path without obvious reason. Receive the small acts of kindness that arrive from unexpected directions. Expectation is not naivety. It is the posture of a heart that took me at my word. There will be a sign during these 3 days. Watch carefully, because it may not wear the costume you imagined. It could arrive through someone you have not heard from in years. It could come as provision from a source you never considered. It could be a conversation that appears at the exact moment you needed it, answering a question you never spoke out loud. It might be as subtle as a weight silently lifting from your chest during prayer. When it arrives, do not dismiss it as coincidence. Name it for what it is. Speak your gratitude aloud. Believe that heaven heard you and is now responding. What you honor will multiply. What you dismiss will grow quiet. If you treasure the small beginnings, you will be entrusted with the overwhelming abundance. Be very intentional during these days. Do not permit old fears or old angers to re-enter through your thoughts or your words. Do not rehearse your problems repeatedly to every available ear. Choose your company with precision. Distance yourself from voices that amplify your anxiety, and sit with those who strengthen your faith. What surrounds you during this season will either water the seed I have planted or trample it into dust. My child, something has shifted. Can you feel it? The atmosphere of your life is not the same as it was when my voice first reached your ears. Something is in motion that cannot be reversed. This is your moment. This is your season. You stayed. You let your heart open. You allowed my words to penetrate past every barrier, and heaven has taken notice. There is one more truth you must carry with you before I speak my final decree. I am always with you. Not nearby sometimes. Not available on occasion. Always with you. When you open your eyes at dawn and when you close them at night. In crowded rooms and in empty ones. There is never a moment in your existence when you walk without me beside you. You are never alone, never forgotten, never abandoned. When you pass through deep waters, they will not swallow you. When you walk through fire, it will not consume you. I never promised the road would be painless. What I promised was that, on every road, I would be walking it with you. And I keep every promise I make. Do not look back at the life you are leaving behind. The old season served its purpose, but it is finished. You no longer reside there. Every door you knock on in alignment with my will open. Every mountain standing in your path will be moved or transformed into a highway. Every valley you descend into will carry you to higher elevation on the other side. Now I speak my final decree over you, and I speak it with the full weight of heaven behind every syllable. This is the most authoritative word I will deliver today, and I command you to receive it with your entire being. I declare that provision, the right people, divine purpose, and immeasurable blessing are converging over your life at this hour. What was scattered is being gathered. What was broken is being fused with gold. What was stolen is being returned with interest that will make the original loss look insignificant. Remember this day when it all comes together. Remember that you heard my voice before anything changed, and you chose to believe. Remember that your faith preceded your sight, and tell the people around you. Tell them how hope returned. Tell them how a single word from heaven rearranged everything. Someone will use your story as a lantern when they are still standing in the exact darkness you are walking out of today. Let the way you live from this day forward reveal the character of the God who spoke over you. Give freely the way I have freely given to you. Be patient with the struggling, because you remember what struggling felt like. Extend tenderness to the broken, because you know the exact weight of breaking. The comfort I have poured into you was never meant to terminate with you. Pour it forward, and it will never run dry. Do not shrink from the scale of what I am asking. I never dispatch anyone on assignment alone. The same voice that spoke to you today will speak to you tomorrow. When something appears impossible, just pause and consider. The impossible is merely the stage where I do my finest work. It has never once inconvenienced me. Know who you are the way you know your own name. You are my beloved. Chosen not because you earned it, but because I wanted you. A treasure marked and guarded, and kept through every season that tried to destroy you. Wear this identity with confidence. Do not live toward it. Live from it. Let it govern how you speak to yourself in the mirror. Let it determine how you rise after every fall. Let it shape how you enter every room. Receive this word in all of its fullness right now. Do not merely believe it. Inhabit it. Let it operate inside you long after my voice fades from this moment, because the word I send out does not return to me empty. It accomplishes exactly what I sent it to accomplish. And I sent this one directly to you. Before I speak the final blessing, I want you to know that this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will cross to reach their own miracle. Share this message right now with at least 5 people who need to hear what heaven declared today. Send it to your Facebook group. Text it directly to someone who has been on your heart. Post it in your church community. Every person who receives this word multiplies the power of what was spoken over you. As this awakening takes root in your life, know that standing alongside this mission is an act of faith that heaven records. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can support this work by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of a community of believers who refuse to let anyone fight their battles alone. Every seed you plant through your generosity becomes a torch that pushes back the darkness for someone who has not yet found the light. When you join this community, you step into a circle of prayer where burdens are shared, testimonies are celebrated, and no one walks their valley in silence. I invite you to take that step today. Subscribe to this channel so that the next word heaven releases over you does not pass you by unheard. Turn on the notification bell and make sure you never miss a single installment of what I am building in your life. And now, I speak the final words. Almighty Father, I bring this precious soul before your throne, and I lay them at your feet covered in every promise spoken today. Seal this word inside them so deeply that no storm, no adversary, no season of waiting can dislodge it from their spirit. Open the floodgates of provision over their household. Send the divine connections that carry your fragrance into their life this week. Illuminate the next step of their purpose so clearly that hesitation becomes impossible. Guard their mind while they sleep tonight. Station your angels at the 4 corners of their dwelling. Let them awaken tomorrow with a certainty in their chest that was not there before, a knowing that something has permanently changed. Pour out favor that arrives before they ask for it. Restore in a single season what was damaged across many. And let every person who hears this prayer and believes it see undeniable evidence of your faithfulness within 3 days. In the mighty and matchless name above every name, it is done, it is sealed, and it cannot be reversed. Amen.